The airport lights were harsh, buzzing above my head like angry wasps. My baby whimpered against my chest, her tiny fists pressed into my shirt. I shifted her carefully, even though my arms were shaking from exhaustion. I hadn't slept in 2 days, hadn't eaten properly in 3. My ticket home had been canceled last minute after the airline messed up my booking, and with no money left on my card, I had been stuck in the terminal for hours, wandering from counter to counter like a ghost nobody saw. "Please," I whispered to one airline worker, holding out my baby so they could see her flushed face. "We just need to get on standby. Anything. She hasn't stopped crying. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video." The worker didn't even glance up. "Flights are full. Next." I sat on the cold floor back against the wall, rocking my daughter gently while people rushed past, dragging shiny suitcases. Families laughed, couples held hands, travelers grumbled about delays. Nobody looked at me. To them, I wasn't a mother desperate for help. I was just clutter on the floor. Then I saw them, my parents. My heart leapt, thinking maybe, just maybe, they had come for me. Dad strutted out of the terminal, shoulders back, carrying one of the big pink suitcases I knew belonged to my younger sister Emily. Mom walked next to him, pushing a cart stacked high with bags. And there was Emily herself, fresh from her trip, sunglasses perched on her head like she was a celebrity, scrolling through her phone without a care in the world. I stood up quickly, clutching my baby tighter, hope flooding me. "Mom! Dad!" I called out, my voice breaking. "Please, I'm stuck here. I can't get a flight. I need help." They turned. For a second, I thought I saw recognition in their eyes, but then Dad sneered, his lips curling. "Don't start this here," he muttered, gripping Emily's suitcase tighter. Mom's face hardened like stone. "She has a flight to catch. You don't matter right now." Emily smirked behind her sunglasses, adjusting her designer jacket. "Seriously, you're still here? Pathetic." I felt my knees weaken. My baby whimpered louder and I kissed her head, trying to steady my voice. "Please, just hold her for a second so I can go to the desk again. Please, just help me this once." Dad shook his head, stepping past me. "You chose this life. Don't make us carry your baggage too." He patted Emily's suitcase with a smirk. "This is the baggage that matters." The words hit harder than any slap ever could. Mom brushed by me like I was invisible, muttering under her breath, always begging, always a burden. And just like that, they were gone, their laughter trailing behind them as they disappeared into the crowd. I sank to the floor again, tears streaming silently, rocking my baby as she cried against me. My chest burned with humiliation. People walking past whispered, some shaking their heads, some filming with their phones. I didn't even have the energy to tell them to stop. Hours stretched. Every gate announcement felt like a door slamming in my face. My baby finally drifted to sleep against me, and I stared at her tiny features, my heart aching with guilt and rage. She deserved warmth, safety, love. Not a mother stranded on a cold airport floor, abandoned by the very people who were supposed to protect us both. But sitting there, crushed and humiliated, I realized something. They thought they had erased me. They thought they could step over me like trash, that Emily's luggage mattered more than my child's life. They had no idea I was done begging. Something shifted inside me, sharper than the buzzing lights, colder than the tiled floor. This wasn't just neglect. It was a public declaration that I didn't matter, and I decided then and there, holding my baby close, that I would make them matter less than nothing. They wanted me stranded? Fine, but when I rose again, I'd make sure they were the ones with nowhere to go. I didn't sleep that night. I couldn't. My baby stirred in my arms every time an announcement blared over the intercom, her small face scrunching at the noise. Her little fists clinging to my shirt like she was afraid I would vanish too. I kissed her forehead again and again, whispering, "I'm here. I promise I'm here," even as my chest caved in from the reality of what had just happened. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw them, My dad sneering as he carried Emily's pink suitcase, my mom's cold face turning away, Emily smirking like I was dirt under her shoe. The words repeated like a curse. She has a flight to catch, you don't matter. I had always known they favored her, but this wasn't favoritism anymore. This was erasure. The next morning, I dragged myself to another airline desk, begging again. Please, any seat, even the jump seat, I have an infant. The woman barely glanced at me. We don't prioritize people who aren't booked, she said flatly, waving the next passenger forward. My baby whimpered, and I rocked her as I limped back to the corner of the terminal where the other stranded travelers slept. A man handed me a bottle of water and said softly, "You okay?" I nodded weakly, even though the answer was no. By noon, my phone buzzed. A message from my mother. Don't embarrass us at the airport again. Emily has enough stress without you causing a scene. I stared at the screen, hands trembling. I typed back, I had nowhere to go. The baby is hungry. I need help. No reply. That evening, Emily posted on Instagram a glossy picture of her boarding first class, her caption reading, "Family always comes through when you need them, #blessed." My parents smiled in the background of her selfie, carrying her bags. My stomach twisted so violently I thought I would vomit. Family always comes through, but not for me. Not for us. Something snapped inside me then. I wasn't going to be their leftover, their forgotten shadow. I wasn't going to crawl while Emily strutted through life with my parents clapping at her heels. Over the next 2 days, I started watching, observing, collecting, not just at the airport, but online. Emily had made her whole life a performance, her TikToks, her Instagram reels, her constant need to show off the perfect daughter life. And in almost every picture, there were my parents, parading behind her like servants carrying a queen's crown. But what none of them noticed was what I had. Cracks. Small cracks in their performance. In one video, Emily whined about flight delays while my dad snapped at a worker in the background, calling him useless trash. In another, my mom bragged loudly on a phone call saying, "We sacrificed everything for Emily." The other one, she was just a mistake. Emily had laughed at that line, leaving it in the video like it was funny. Her followers had thought it was a joke. But to me, it was proof of the people they really were. I started saving everything, every clip, every careless word, every post that showed their cruelty bleeding through the mask. I didn't know how yet, but I knew these little cracks would someday shatter their perfect facade. Meanwhile, in the airport, my anger fermented. I watched other families greet each other with open arms, fathers carrying strollers, mothers cradling babies, siblings taking selfies together. I watched a grandmother hand her daughter a blanket for her newborn, wrapping them both gently. Every sight stabbed me with what I had never been given and what Emily had been drowning in. On the third night, as I sat on the hard floor feeding my baby formula that another stranded traveler had bought for me, I made a vow, not just to myself, but to my daughter. "You will never grow up thinking you don't matter," I whispered into her tiny ear. "You will never crawl for their approval. I'll make them crawl instead." The next morning, I dragged myself up on shaking legs, baby in one arm, and went to the airport cafe. I asked for a job. The manager, a tired woman in her 40s, looked at me skeptically. "With the baby?" "I'll do nights. I'll clean floors. I'll wipe tables. Please, I just need a start." She studied me for a long moment, then sighed. "We're short-staffed. Fine. You start tonight." That first night, I tied my daughter to my chest with a cloth sling as I swept the sticky floors and emptied trash bins. Travelers passed by without looking twice, but for the first time in weeks, I felt something solid. Dignity. Work was hard, humiliating even, but it was mine, and every paycheck, every hour was another stone I stacked, building towards something bigger. I worked nights, I saved, and during the day, I still collected every slip, every cruel line my parents and Emily left scattered online. The world saw Emily as blessed, perfect, adored, but soon they would see what I saw, a sister who used everyone around her as luggage carriers, parents who mocked their own child while worshiping another. The humiliation at the airport had broken something in me, but it also forged something new. They thought I was stranded forever. They thought I was invisible. They were wrong. Because I had a new flight to catch, and it would leave them grounded for good. Months passed, and the airport became my battlefield. I scrubbed its floors, wiped its counters, and served coffee with my daughter strapped to my chest. I built a quiet reputation. Workers whispered about the girl who never gave up. Strangers slipped me baby clothes, snacks, even extra formula. I never asked, but kindness trickled in where cruelty had abandoned me. Meanwhile, my parents and Emily flaunted their perfect family online. Every trip, every shopping spree, every smug caption, family first, loyalty always wins. Their words twisted like knives in my gut, but I let the anger harden into focus. Because I had a plan now. One evening, while cleaning the cafe tables, I overheard two flight attendants gossiping about Emily. "That's the girl with the influencer account, right? The one who filmed that staff meltdown last week?" The other rolled her eyes. "Yeah, always making content at the expense of workers. Management's sick of her." That was the opening I needed. I'd been saving those videos for months, the clips of Emily mocking airport staff, my dad barking at gate agents, my mom laughing about mistake children. They thought they were background noise in her polished posts, but I had every file cataloged, every timestamp ready. The next week, Emily was scheduled for a brand-sponsored trip. Front row flight, cameras rolling, my parents proudly escorting her with more luggage than a queen. I knew exactly where they'd be, and I knew who would be watching. As Emily strutted into the terminal with my parents trailing behind, ring light in hand, I slipped into the crowd. My phone was already synced to the airport's public display system. I'd convinced a sympathetic IT worker to help after I showed him one of the drafts where Emily mocked a crying passenger. At first, the monitors showed normal flight information. Emily beamed at her phone, purring, "We're about to board first class. Family always comes through for me." My parents laughed proudly, waving at the camera. Then the screens flickered. Clip after clip appeared across the entire terminal. Emily twirling designer bags while sneering, "Unlike my sister, I actually matter." My dad barking at staff, "Do your job, trash. My daughter has a flight to catch." My mom's cold voice, "One child was worth raising, the other was just a burden." The audio blasted through the speakers. Travelers stopped in their tracks. Staff froze, jaws tight, eyes narrowing. Phones whipped out. Whispers turned to gasps, then shouts. "Is that her? She filmed herself saying that?" Monsters. Emily spun in panic, her phone clattering to the floor. This isn't real," she shrieked, grabbing at the air as if she could rip the screens down. Dad roared, "Turn it off," and shoved a staff member, which only drew more cameras. Mom clutched her chest, muttering, "This is sabotage." But the truth was there, playing on loop for every traveler to see. Security moved in, not for me, but for them. Emily's brand representative, waiting at the gate, stormed off, phone glued to his ear. "We're done," I heard him hiss. "Cancel everything." By the time the screens went dark, their empire had already collapsed. Their perfect family image was poisoned, sponsors fleeing, staff filing complaints, strangers booing as they stumbled through the crowd. Emily tried to cover her face, but it was too late. Screenshots, recordings, reposts were everywhere. I stepped forward, my baby on my hip, and for the first time in my life, they looked at me. Not with superiority, with fear. "You walked past me when I begged," I said softly, loud enough for them in the crowd to hear. "Now everyone else will walk past you." Dad opened his mouth to spit something cruel, but no sound came out. Mom's lips trembled. Emily collapsed onto a chair, mascara streaking down her cheeks, muttering, "It's not fair. It's not fair." I didn't stay to watch the rest. I didn't need to. Their downfall wasn't a moment. It was permanent. That night, as I rocked my daughter to sleep in the small apartment a kind coworker helped me find, I thought about the terminal where it all began. I had begged on that cold floor, humiliated, invisible. But I wasn't invisible anymore. They said I didn't matter. Now the world knew who really didn't. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video.